The rain had soaked through my coat the morning I stepped into that courthouse, and I could see my sister already wearing the smile of someone who believed she'd won before the trial even started. She sat next to a high-priced attorney while our parents looked on with a kind of smug certainty, fully convinced this was the day I'd lose everything our grandmother had left behind. They thought I'd cave without putting up a fight. What they didn't understand was that I hadn't shown up armed with emotion. I'd shown up with proof, and proof has a way of tearing down lies no matter how well they're buried. My name is Evelyn Carter, and this whole ordeal began right after my grandmother's death. She spent her life believing her family would stay close once she was gone, but the second the funeral ended, greed took her place. My sister Madison abruptly announced that our grandmother had secretly wanted her to inherit the family home. Our parents backed her instantly, treating me like some obstacle in their way rather than her other grandchild. When I wouldn't hand over my portion of the inheritance, they hauled me into court and accused me of manipulating our grandmother in her last years. As I sat down in that courtroom, Madison leaned toward me and muttered that I should stop making a scene and just sign the papers before things got ugly. I said nothing. Years before, I'd worked as a clerk at that very courthouse, and I'd picked up one truth that never changed. Loud voices rarely win cases. Paperwork does. My lawyer set a certified copy of a freshly filed property deed on the table in front of the judge, and the second he looked it over, the whole mood in the room shifted. Madison's smile vanished. Our parents shot each other nervous looks. Even their own attorney seemed rattled. The judge asked one question: who filed this deed before the estate had even been settled? Madison swore everything was done correctly, but my attorney pointed out that the most valuable asset in the estate had been transferred away just one day before this very hearing. The judge ordered the clerk to verify it on the spot. Minutes later, a stranger walked into the courtroom, introducing himself as Investigator Daniel Brooks from the Financial Crimes Unit. He announced that the deed had already set off a fraud alert, since the notary who signed it had an active investigation against them. The room went dead silent as records confirmed the notary's license had been suspended well before this document was ever signed. Madison tried blaming clerical errors, and her lawyer called it a simple administrative slip-up. The judge wasn't buying it. A suspended notary meant the whole transaction could be void. Then the investigator dropped something even bigger. The notary's official log didn't list our grandmother as the one who signed. It listed Madison. My sister went pale. She insisted the log must be mistaken, but every new piece of evidence said otherwise. The appointment had been booked through an email tied to her attorney's office. The fee had been paid with Madison's personal card. Security footage from a nearby shipping store matched the location and time of the signing. Everything lined up perfectly. Our parents, who'd been watching so confidently from their seats, suddenly couldn't look anyone in the eye. The judge turned to Madison and asked point blank whether she'd had legal authority to sign for our grandmother. After a long pause, she admitted she hadn't. That admission ended everything. The judge froze the estate immediately, blocked any sale or transfer of the property, and ordered every text, email, and document tied to the deed preserved, warning that destroying evidence would only make her situation worse. 10 business days later, we were back for the evidentiary hearing, and this time there wasn't a single confident smile in the room. My attorney laid out the certified deed, the suspended notary's records, the log naming Madison as the signer, and security footage showing her carrying out the transaction herself. The investigator confirmed the fraud alert had triggered automatically through the county system before I'd even filed a single objection. The facts spoke louder than any accusation ever could. The judge declared the deed completely void, ruling that Madison never had the authority to transfer the property and that the notarization itself was invalid from the start. He ordered the county to restore ownership to the estate, awarded me my legal fees, and referred the case for further investigation. Madison sat frozen while her lawyer stared at the floor, out of arguments. Our parents finally realized that blood ties meant nothing against official records. Weeks later, I stood in my grandmother's house holding a fresh set of keys after changing every lock in the place. The county had corrected the property records, and the estate was finally secure. Revenge was never what I wanted from my sister. I only wanted truth to outweigh lies. In the end, it wasn't anger that protected my grandmother's legacy. It was patience, proof, and the simple reality that courts trust evidence far more than they trust performance.